Carl here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it's 31 days of Halloween. Taking us nostalgic goggles off and reliving childhood horror. This isn't really a horror movie, aside from sort of some gory moments here. What the original Critters did, Critters 2, the main course, basically decides, hey, we're going to ramp up the silliness and the comedicness, but we are going to try and follow the 3 Bs of a sequel, bigger, bolder and better. Alas, it fails on pretty much all of them. It is a bit bigger in the fact that it encapsulates an entire town rather than just one farmland. It is a bit bolder because there are some more interesting ideas here in regards to the sort of giant critter ball. But is it better? Not in my opinion. It's not even as memorable, and it certainly wasn't as a kid. I just really remember this for 2 specific things, which is the giant critter ball. It's that, and basically topless woman walking around the town for most of the film. 2 things as a youngster that certainly turned my head. In regards to that, that's obviously the bounty hunter stuff. Now, whereas the first one, if you remember, I was quite praiseworthy, quite praising the sort of vibe that love the look and the feel of how they transform. And this, it's far lazier done. The fact that the bounty hunters are even in it, again, is lazy in itself. And aside, it's just sort of like, okay, we can use this opportunity to get this bounty hunter whose face turns into this woman he sees in a porn magazine, or pornographic magazine, but naturally her top breaks and falls away because of her large breasts, so basically she's topless. And it's even done in a comedic way because for some reason she fully copies everything on the page, including a staple in the centre right around her stomach here. It's the kind of silliness that, as a kid, I went, oh, that's so funny and so silly. And now as an adult, I'm like, but why? And this raises more questions than it actually answers. But hey, as a kid, boobs, you know, it's as simple as that, you know. We're not talking about me being super young here. We're talking about me being of a certain age where that stuff was appreciated. But mainly around that, of course, it's the Critters Ball and how that thing operates. It's a cool idea. It's a little silly, and I don't always love the effects now. I don't think they are. In my head, I just remember them being a lot stronger, but not. Now when I watch it, it's like, oh no, that kind of looks like a miniature, and it doesn't really work. There's one cool scene where it rolls over a body and leaves like a bloody skeleton. I like that. But now when I watch that, it kind of reminds me of sort of Brain Dead's effects, but not as good, not as strong. You know, that kind of thing. But by the time we get to that, we've had to kind of slog for a lot of nothing. Critters, the original, was a slow movie. It was a slow moving movie, and I remembered it being faster. Critters 2, the main course, is even slower. God damn, does this take ages to get going. And I don't really get the point of having, like, the character of Bradley Brown. I know there's a story reason for him coming back, but I don't buy it. And it's not investable. And I just don't really like his look in this. He's kind of stuck between being a kid and a teenager, like an older, like a young adult. And it's a weird vibe, particularly with what he wears and how his character goes. Plus, it's really lazy stuff, you know. Oh, nobody believes him and thinks he's a weirdo. And oh, all starts happening again and he starts getting the blame until eventually he's proven right. All that sort of nonsense. But like how it all plays out, how we build up to the eventual explosion of Krites, the full-on thing, just isn't that interesting at all. And when it does kind of lead to like the Krites taking over the town and the townspeople are kind of holed up together, they don't have the same level of threat and fear, and I don't like it. Now, weirdly, a scene I kind of remembered as a kid, but as an adult I think is actually really, really out of place, because I think it's one of the darker. So one of the bounty hunters gets killed, of course, the one who decided to turn into a woman. And then we get this scene where the other, Ugg is it? It's Ugg, I think it's Ugg, finds their body and reacts with grief. I mean, he howls like the grief, like, and I think, like, as an adult watching it, I thought it was really horrible. Not like in a negative way, but just about, oh, that's really sad. Like, his scream and howl of pain and how it affects him afterwards is basically catatonic. I thought was fascinating. Like, really interesting stuff. And there's no way in hell I appreciated that as a kid. And you say, well, isn't that cool? Isn't it cool that you appreciate it as an adult? It is well out of place. The rest of the film has nothing like this. It's all done in a very silly comedic way with occasional moments of gore, but nothing that egregious. Nothing that certainly pushes the envelope. It is bigger and bolder in the sense that they have gone with the direction of what those two things require, but it is not a better film. And when I think of Critters 2, the main course now, I think of that. But it also matches up. Rewatching it, that is exactly what I felt this time. It fitted what I remembered, and rewatching it, there was nothing I saw this time that really differed from my childhood view, except for that grief moment, which is so goddamn weird. I don't know. Critters is a funny franchise for me. If I'm talking about the overall thing now, because as I said with the review of Critters 1, I never saw 3 and 4 until I was much older, and neither are particularly great films either. It's a franchise that is 5 films, because there's a later film called Critters Attack, which stinks. And if I'm correct, I'm not seeing a TV show. A one-season TV show that might have got cancelled, or maybe that's the film and the TV show was rolled into it. I have no idea. But somehow this became a franchise based really off the success or the interest in one film alone. Now, it's not the first to do that, but when people talk about Critters, they tend to talk from such a really positive point of view that it almost blinds me again. So rewatching it now, watching Critters 2 in particular, it was good to sort of remind myself that, okay, yeah, nostalgia can be a bit of a difficult thing, as it certainly exists for this film, and those comparisons to Gremlins as well. Almost like a competition, which one do you prefer? Gremlins or Critters? I would have always said Critters because it's kind of darker and gorier, but on reflection now, I'm going to say Gremlins. Well, I prefer Critters 1 over all the movies, Gremlins 1 and 2 and the Critters franchises. I think Gremlins is just more fun overall, in particular the second one, which is just wildly stupid and so much fun. But as a kid, I was always going to say Critters because I like the darker tone, but I definitely think nostalgia is blinding people here in regards to how strong this franchise is and how strong the first 2 films, in particular this one, is. It's not that good. What do you reckon? You got any thoughts? You know what to do? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website, where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.